Dropsite News did a poll, an actual poll that's nationally representative, because they were curious to see how Americans were feeling about Donald Trump's decision to drag us into this war with Iran. Now, as we've been talking about on previous episodes of the show, multiple polls show that the war is incredibly unpopular already. But when it comes to ground troops, even among Republican voters, it is wildly unpopular. Now, with the Israelis, we know that this war is very popular because we're the ones paying for it. We're the ones who could potentially send our soldiers, our troops, to put boots on the ground. So I was listening to Gideon Levy, one of the most wonderful Israelis on the planet. Okay, he writes over at Haaretz, but he was on Piers Morgan's show today, and he was talking about not only the fact that all of these wars have made Israel less safe, but he was also talking about the fact that, the Jewish Israelis, 90% of them are in favor of the war in Iran. That's what he claimed. In the US, obviously, the numbers are reversed. And so the poll that Dropsite did asked if Trump is acting on behalf of Americans or Israelis. And here's what they found. 47% said that he is more responsive to the American people than to Israel. So less than half, 47% think that Trump is more responsive to Americans, and 46% said he was more responsive to Israel. Among independents, these are the kingmakers, these are the deciders in our elections, half, 50 to 45%, said that Trump prioritizes Israeli interests over Americans. Among Republicans, only 17% said the same because they're watching Fox News slop, but I'll continue. Democrats overwhelmingly held that view, 75% versus 17%. So interesting results from that poll. I just, for the Republicans, and I'm talking about normie Republican voters. I'm not trying to get on your ass about this, right? But I am curious. Have you sat down to really think this through? Because if you think that Trump is doing this on behalf of Americans, that's what he's prioritizing. How does going to war with Iran help or benefit Americans? How does spending $1 to $2 billion a day on a war on behalf of Israel benefit the United States of America? How is that prioritizing the American people? And maybe you have an answer that I'm just not privy to, but I don't see it. I just don't.
So around half of the country thinks that we're doing this on behalf of Israel and also to distract from the Epstein files. So the Washington Post had an opinion article that was attacking Ro Khanna because Ro Khanna doesn't think we should give endless money to Israel. He's one of the very rare politicians who says it and means it. So
it's even worse than that, Cenk. They're upset at him because he pushed for the release of the Epstein files. Continue.
Yeah, and which, by the way, is of course telling on themselves. Why is
100%?
Why are Israeli supporters upset about the Epstein files being released? I don't see the Norwegians upset. I don't see the Bolivians upset. Are you telling on yourself? Okay, and then they said, anyone who says that it's because of Epstein or calls it Operation Epstein's Fury is an anti-Semite. And they should be canceled and no one should talk to them. Like, Ro Khanna should be dismissed and never be, no one should ever talk to him. No one should consider him a presidential candidate. He should be shunned in Washington for representing the American people. So wait a minute. If you think it's connected to Epstein, you're an disgusting anti-Semite filled with hatred in your heart, but that's 52% of Americans. So they just called a majority of Americans anti-Semites for being opposed to Epstein and this disgusting war that's costing us $2 billion a day, let alone the 7 dead, the 150 injured, etc. No. You're never allowed to disagree with Israel. And if you do, anti-Semite, they say. They're so disgusting. And then they celebrate the murders of all of these Muslims in the region. We have to, they're all terrorists. Kill them all, they're all terrorists, they say. Mainstream media disgusts me. Okay, so by the way, we also did our own poll. The reason why Dropsite and Zateo and us have to do these polls, which are expensive, and thank you guys, you financed our poll, and their audience financed their poll, because mainstream media is like, oh no, we're not gonna ask anything that might hurt Israel. No way. Asking the question of whether this war is for Israel, that question is anti-Semitic. All Americans are anti-Semites. They yell at us. They yell at us. And then they wonder why they lost credibility. Well, I don't understand why American people aren't forced to listen to the objective traditional media when we call them all bigots and racists who should hand over their wallets and their sons and daughters for Israel. And if they don't, we're gonna try to ruin their lives. All right, so our poll asked, lately there's been a debate about America's relationship with Israel. Some say the US should continue to provide financial support for Israel. Others say the US doesn't owe Israel any money. Even if it isn't exactly right, which of the following is closer to your view? The US should continue to provide financial support for Israel, a solid 30%. The US doesn't owe Israel any more money, 49%, not sure 21%. So only 30% of the country thinks we should continue to financially support Israel. So obviously 7 out of 10 Americans are dirty anti-Semites, right? I mean, that's what mainstream media tells me every single day, every single day. Anyone who doesn't support what Israel wants, that's it. You guys should all be fired, okay? And by the way, guys, it's not just in media. Of course, they try to get everybody in media fired who opposes Israel because then no one will be able to object to Israel's demands. But now I go to Muslim American events and they say, oh yeah, if I post anything on social media, there's groups that come in and tell my boss to fire me. And or if I run my own business, to destroy my business. And they put out pamphlets and emails, etc., saying, oh, this guy's an anti-Semite, ruin his business, make sure his family can't eat, he objects to Israel, destroy all Americans who oppose Israel. That's what these sick people are doing. So our poll was run by YouGov, over 1,000 people, national poll. By the way, more Republicans than Democrats, very even, very near to even. So it's a representative sample. But it doesn't matter if 7 out of 10 Americans or 9 out of 10 Americans or 10 out of 10 Americans say, I don't want Israel's wars anymore. Mainstream media will say you're all racist bigots, none of you should have a job, and all of you need to pay up for Israel. What's the latest trend in hiring? Skills-based hiring, which actually emphasizes capabilities over education and direct experience. According to experts, this leads to faster hiring and better job performance. Well, if you're an employer who's adopted skills-based hiring, the best way to ensure that your applicants have the right skills is ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter recommends smart screening questions to help you hone in on that perfect match for your role. And right now you can try it for free at ziprecruiter.com/TYT. ZipRecruiter has powerful matching technology to help discover qualified candidates quickly. They also make it easy for you to add their screening questions to your job posts so you get the highest quality applicants. That's what makes ZipRecruiter the #1 rated hiring site based on G2. Let ZipRecruiter help you find amazing candidates with the skills you seek. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And now you can try it for free at ziprecruiter.com/TYT. That's ziprecruiter.com/TYT. Meet your match on ZipRecruiter. Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.